welcome back. We've got another little desktop TEF radio to have a look at in this video. Now I know a lot of you dismiss the TEF chip because although it does broadcast shortwave on AM, it hasn't got upper and lower sideband. But you shouldn't really, because the FM performance is really good and even the shortwave performance is okay, to be perfectly honest. This radio, desktop design, we'll have a closer look in a minute on the bench, but really nice quality, probably the best quality I've seen so far from these TEF radios, and it's getting quite heavy in my hand. Let's have a quick look around the radio. So it's very minimalistic, one large encoder here, doubles up as a volume and also the tuning. To switch between the two, you just have to press the power button there. Turns it into a volume control, press it back, switches it to tuning. Now when it does come down to the tuning, you can have it as 10 kilohertz or 9 kilohertz on the medium wave, or what I prefer is just have manual control, have it on 1 kilohertz for the manual tuning. That is optional. So yeah, there are multi-functions to the buttons, of course. You kind of expect that. To get into the menu system, you hold down the mode there, and there you've got all of your basic menu settings. Now unfortunately there's no capacitive touchscreen on the radio, which is a bit of a shame because it would make choosing these menu options a little easier. And likewise, when we get onto the display here, if we could just click into this to do the tuning, it is via the encoder. It's a bit of a shame, but that's how it is. I'll just cover the buttons in a moment, but let's just have a quick look on the back of the radio because I think it's quite interesting. So on the back here, as you can see, this gives you the standard widths here of the tuning. These are pretty standard for TEF radio. Wi-Fi antenna, purely for Wi-Fi updates, for firmware updates. I know a lot of you are into that. USB-C for charging. I don't think a computer will recognise it for remote control. Nice that it's got a separate on-off switch there. So you can switch it on to standby via the power button, but that's the main on-off switch. Stereo speakers, because we should have stereo on the FM part of the band. And then finally a headphone socket, so we can, if we want to, connect this up to a separate amplifier, which I might do on another video, or use our headphones. Antenna, yeah, standard antenna socket there. You probably want to set this up to an outside antenna, as I mentioned. It's a 50 centimeter telescopic antenna, which is enough for FM. It works on medium wave as well, and it's enough to get you going. Let's have a closer look at that screen. Standard layout that we've seen on other TEF radios. I don't have really a problem with that, as I say, other than it's not a touch screen. When it comes down to the tuning of the radio, you've got three options really. You can have automatic self-seek tune, which I know a lot of you will use, or you can have manual tune. You've got three options on the manual tune. I've got mine set to the lowest, which is 1 kilohertz steps, which I actually quite like. You can set it to 10 kilohertz steps for the US market on medium wave, or you'll set it to 9 steps for the UK, or just have it on auto. STA button here, just slightly on the bottom, says station, but basically this is all of the different modes. Shortwave, of course. It does cover the DX band on the FM if you're into that. FM band. Long wave, we'll be testing that in a moment to see if it does actually pick up long wave. And then back to medium wave. Usual things that you get on the display here. You do get a dB meter signal. You get a signal strength, and also a modulation meter, which is a bit like a VU meter if you like. So quite nice. You can of course change the background colours to suit. This is the standard colour, which I think it might suit the unit better if I had that set on silver. So we should be able to change that. So to get into the menu system, we hold down the mode. We then turn the encoder to select what we want. So we go to display settings. And like all TEF radios, this is a twiddler's dream, if you like. There are so many different settings that you can go into. It's a mini computer, really. And then we've got themes here. This is the Essence theme. This is your standard theme, obviously. And then we can go through, and these are all of the themes. I believe there's about 12. I think I'll go for the white one. White out. I quite like this one myself. Select, and then mode to come out. And there we go. And then we've got the white theme. Yeah, I think that looks okay. It's slightly greenish. It's like a bit like a sort of a luminous colour on the background. But you can adjust that to your heart's content. When it comes to tuning the radio, yeah, obviously I know I bang on about it. It would have been nice to have a touch screen, of course. Manual tuning, just like all TEF radios, if you look above the frequency, hopefully you can see it on the camera there. If you press the encoder, that gives you the option to change that particular digit. I like this because you can go right down to the very lowest digit there. And you can really, really fine tune the FM radio. Especially good if you're in a low reception area or you're really hoping to pick up a very distant station. So for example, if I want to tune into radio 4, so we just go to there, we put that as 0.5, go to there, and then we can tune up to 93.5. As I mentioned, there is a separate button to press to get to the volume control. Just press the power button there, and now we can turn the volume up.
Excommunication will fall upon your head. Do you presume to threaten your lawful prince? You are no lawful prince. Frederick accepts Matilda's hand and is content to waive his claim on my title. Therefore, I am your lawful prince. Oh, dear God.
There's a lot of interference here. There's a lot of interference because I'm upstairs with all the lights on, but seems to pick up FM really, really well actually. I have a little flick round. I just want to see what the speakers sound like. I know I have trouble playing music because of copyright. So let's just try and go to radio 2. They usually play a little bit of music this time of day. And once again, just press the power button to activate the volume. That sounds really nice and clear. That's got some resonance to it. Let's try again. I've just got to be careful I don't get a copyright strike. Oh, I have to remember to press the power button. It automatically goes back to the tune. Sounds really nice actually. Just I can't play you any music on the channel unfortunately. Just try one more station up. We've got Radio 1 now. As you can see, slightly stronger signal, so all of your RDS information is coming on, and you can switch on additional information as well if you go into the menu system. It looks quite nice, doesn't it, on that kind of greenish screen, a bit like an old Casio watch. Let's just turn this one up.
Gorgeous on Radio 1. Right, in just a few minutes then, Radio 1's live packs for Lauren and Lena.
We're going to play you our tune of the weekend. It comes from Dave, his new album, The Boy Who Played the Harp. Jack Saunders tomorrow night will be dissecting
very
the
clear,
whole
very
thing
clear.
on One's new music show.
Very clear through those speakers. I mean, it's not hi-fi, but it certainly sounds quite good. It goes quite loud as well.
Years. He was convicted of 15 charges, and that included 10 charges of rape. The judge said he had not.
Who represents Runcorn and Hell.
It doesn't include any actual Spanish folk songs, but its harmonies, rhythms are reminiscent of the traditional music of Spain, and it's such a varied and vibrant piece.
Report revealed that billions of pounds are being wasted on asylum hotels. The Prime Minister's blamed the previous Tory government, while Kemi Badenoch blamed the current administration.
A poaching of shocking racism after she said it drove her mad to see advertisements full of black and Asian people. Miss Poachin, who represents Runcorn and Helsby, apologised for her comments on Talk TV.
You glow, you colour research and will now be deported this week. Crime policing and justice commentator Danny Shaw has told LBC.
National Memorial commemorating LGBT armed forces.
Say they aim to reduce impact on students.
And it's the story of a person called Daisy Goodwill, 80 years of her life. And Cara Shields has talked about how she sort of thought of it as having the structure.
As Villa beat Manchester City 1-0 yesterday. And Britain's Cameron Norrie is into the second round of the... And a little bit of selfie later.
From only £699 when you book with Bright Sun Travel. Bali Brambas. 2 down.
One thing you used to say to us is that when you go through a couple of bad results, this is the time to pull in. You
But there are actual, where they like, today in Beijing, the weather, blah, blah, like that kind of newsy podcast. Yeah. People are actually listening to those. 2 out of 5 people are getting the news like that from podcasts. I think that's fascinating. And I think you're right. I think maybe it's a lot of it's for cars. In the United States, everyone has a car.
10几年来，白居易在念书艺术的道路上越走越远。他对技艺精益求精，在传统的念书艺术上。
I think it's called The Daily, and it was produced by the New York Times. And I'll give you a very quick roundup of what has happened the day before. News headlines, and usually it's just the headline and then the left after lead.
念书不再是摆放在街头巷尾的简单玩具，而是成了可以供人观赏、收藏的艺术品。念书艺术作为中国民间艺术的。
In den Jahren als auch in den kommenden werden wir ausreichende Mittel bereitstellen, damit die Armee gut vorbereitet ist.
I better be careful. I'll probably get a copy strike on classical music. It's so hard to play music now on YouTube. So I've had this in all day and I've been playing with it. Yeah, I like it. I like the way it looks. And to me, that's quite important. I do like this bluish, greenish screen when it's in the white setting. I mean, you don't have to have that. Of course, there are, I think, about 11 different settings. Black, cyan, tangerine, complete monotone. So it'd just be white on black. But this reminds me of those, do you remember those Timex Indiglo, yeah, watches you used to get in the 90s? I had one of those and I had like a sort of a bluish tint to the LCD. And this reminds me of it. I really quite like it. And I think that's, to me, the best thing about this radio is the way it looks. With this aluminium plate on the front here. I mean, it looks quite nice. It would look quite nice in my hi-fi system, actually, because that lot of that is silver. And I think I'll get away with maybe having this downstairs and maybe having it in the kitchen. Because sometimes some of the radios that we review here, they are a little bit Kickstarter-ish, plastic knobs, plastic cases. And if Mrs. Fred sees one before I scribble it up here for review, you get that kind of, you know what I mean? If you're married, you get that, look. But this one, I think, would look quite at home in the kitchen or even the living room. They have spent a lot of money on the casework, and I do appreciate that. Criticisms, well, yeah, 1 or 2 really. One thing I found a little bit annoying when I was testing this is the fact that you have to keep pressing the power button to switch this to volume. And it doesn't stay on that setting. It automatically reverts back to tuning every few seconds. And so, for example, if you forget, you turn it and then it goes out of tune. I found that a little bit annoying. I just wish it would stay on the setting that you put it onto. And then of course it hasn't got a touch screen. Now a capacitive touch screen with a TEF 6686 radio, because there's so many features and there's so many functions. I mean, it is an enthusiast's radio, the way you can customize the screen, go into the settings. It makes it 100 times easier if you can just touch it with your finger. They've saved a little bit of money there by not putting a capacitive screen in, but obviously they've spent the money on the case, and the case is very nice. And those two speakers at the back, I mean, they're not hi-fi speakers, they're not two-way, they're single-way. They sound really nice and clear, probably one of the better sounding ones we've had in, and no really criticism about the sound. It does have a little headphone socket there if you wanted to expand this with an amplifier. Now, funny I say that, because just plugging my next video on one of the new videos coming up, because I have got a little amplifier sent in. Not expensive. I believe with my discount this will probably come in at less than £30 delivered, and this radio will be perfect for that. I haven't even opened this out of the box, but in a future video before Christmas hopefully we'll pair these up with a set of we use a sort of an older pair of hi-fi speakers, nothing expensive, and I think we'll get a really good sound out of this on FM. So I think that's really it for the video. Now, as always, there's a link to this in the description, and as always, I do get a discount code which will save you any money if you're maybe thinking of purchasing this radio. Just a note on that though, don't hang about if you're thinking, because my discount code won't last forever. So if you're looking at this video in 6 months time, the chances are my discount code has expired. It should be active until Christmas, I hope. So yeah, so don't hang about if you want to save a few quid on the checkout and use my code, but it's not expensive anyway for what it is. Anyway, that's it. That's the end of this video. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Do appreciate your view time. Thumbs up, there it is, from Fred in the Shed. If you can, give me a thumbs up before you go. Again, I'd appreciate it. If not, that's fine. And stay safe. Catch you on the next video. Cheers, guys.
Fred's in the shed where the magic unfolds. Fred in the shed with his trusty CB. He's a friend to the lonely on a frequency.